Cast the Craze is partnered with NSC Roadshow. NSCLiveTV.com and 8 Marketing are proud to present the NSC Roadshow podcast tour. As a creator, come to be treated like a rock star as we take you on a tour with podcasters from around the world. Got a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or a project you would like to tell thousands about? Come and get on the tour. Are you a podcaster that would like more creators on your show? Come become a tour stop on the tour. All right, George, what do we have on today?
So today we have the second third of Nerds of the Round. Mr. Law will be on the show, and we also going to be talking about what happens to the money for the campaign after it ends.
Yo, what's my money?
So we gonna be talking.
Yeah, there ain't no talking. I want my money. Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Cast the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the Dreamer, Medina, and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the craze. If you are an independent, catch the craze. Making moves on your own, catch the craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the craze. Join the movement, catch the craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Ver, and I am with...
He's with George Medina, aka the Dreamer. George the Dreamer Medina. I'm extending that. I'm just extending.
Where's the bars, George? Where's the bars, George? Where's the bars, George?
I told you when I'm live in the studio.
What happened was,
studio, which will be happening soon. Yes. As soon as I get in there, bam.
Is that like a vomit or flesh tone color hoodie?
Vomit. This is salmon, bro. This
that's what it is. It's salmon. It's Salomon.
Salmon. Little Salomon.
Salamogundi.
You know what I mean? Little Salomon.
Salagum shak.
Switch it up a little bit.
There you go. Switching it up.
That's right. Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze. We are welcoming you to episode number up in the upper 200s.
This is episode number 259.
Ooh, look at we're closing in on 300, kid.
300.
Wow. All right. And today we have Law
and Order
of the Round and he's got other things going on, other podcasts. We're going to be talking to him coming up.
Podcaster extraordinaire.
We're going to be talking about budgets and stuff like that for quite a bit, because today Sam had a very busy day doing some stuff. But it's June. I shouldn't be wearing this sweater anymore because it's June. But we record in the past to give it to you in the future.
You know how we rock in the hood.
The present.
You know how we rock in the hood.
That's how we rock. That's how we rock. Right now,
we begin to rock.
There are probably fire hydrants right now blasting water somewhere in the Bronx and in all of the other areas where kids are just jumping around, playing in the water. Yes. So hopefully, we don't know what it's going to be like because the vaccines are out now.
I'm going to the beach this summer, and they ain't nobody telling me to put a mask on when I'm on the sand.
Excuse me? Wait, you're a beach kind of guy?
I'm a swim kind of guy. So I go to the beach just to swim. I don't. Swimmer. So my wife will sit on the sand for 10 hours, and I'm in the water for those 10 hours. Like I have to go, and I'm just like, it's funny because I don't like people around me when I'm swimming, and I like to go I like to do laps. And so
in the water, what are you? A freaking Aquaman?
Yo.
You talking to fish out there? How you doing?
I talk to the fishy. so true story. We go to this beach in where is it? In Connecticut.
Okay.
And it's a private, you got to pay to, one of those private beaches. And so, but the water was always beautifully calm, right? But the freaking lifeguards are pains in the rears. And so I'd go swimming out, and they, you can't go past a certain point. They would blow those damn whistles. So I would go swim out, and I'd go underneath the water, and I'd swim as far as I can while holding my breath for about 2 minutes. And I come out, and I'm so far, all they see is a dot, and they're like, and they're trying to, and then you can see they're like, but they don't know. So then you can see them rushing to the beach, to sand, to see if they can see me. So I go under and I swim a beach down, and I come back out and I walk over back to it and I sit down. So, so they find out whatever happens. Just let me swim, bro. Just let me swim.
Dude, they don't want you to die out there. They don't know what kind of swimmer you are.
Oh, I'm good.
They're doing their job.
Number one rule: don't fight the currents. When those waves are coming, just go with the flow.
Just go with the currents,
and don't
into
try
the rock,
and don't
into the massive rock that is gonna bang you into.
And don't hit the damn wave head first. That wave is coming. Go under, right? And go under, and then stay still because the undertow. Right, so you think you're dodging that bullet, but the undertow's good. So you just stay still, let it go, and then come up, be calm. But most people panic because they're getting a double whammy. They panic and they swallow water. They go under. They're spinning. Then they get an undertow. Now they're trying to pick up their swim trunks because it's going down to their ankles, and they're drowning. Don't do that. Don't panic. Just relax. Let it happen. Go with the flow. Don't fight it because you're gonna lose. Everyone loses against Mother Nature. And then just come back up. Just control your breathing. That's the biggest thing.
Fair enough. There you go. Tips from Aquaman, Mr. Sam Vera, for those who, when they go into the beach.
Tips from the guy that's in all black.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's do a little indie news and talk about what we got going on in the next few months. How about that, Sam?
Indie news? In other news, it is June, so if you're going to a Comic-Con, why not go to Wizard World Chicago? It's happening this year. So Wizard World Chicago is on. There's also, if you're in Rhode Island, they got the Rhode Island Comic-Con Summer Edition, and that's in June 18th through the 20th. And if you're in PA, they got the Sci-Fi Valley Con. And they got forget about if you're in Australia. If you're in Ohio, they got the Anime Ohio Con.
Wow.
Yeah, they got some good stuff. They got all this stuff. They got a Smallville Comic Con in Hutchinson, Kansas.
I used to like Smallville, man. Yeah. I did enjoy that show.
Yeah. A bunch of shows were canceled. Let's see what else. You got in Orlando, Florida. You got the Anime Festival. In Wichita, Kansas, you got the anime.
I mean, as of right now, they're happening.
As of right now, they are happening. They got the Fan Expo in Vancouver, Canada. This is a lot happening in June. LibertyCon in Chattanooga, Tennessee. RageCon in Reno, Nevada.
Check that out.
You got, let's see, what else? Morristown, New Jersey, the Garden State Comic Fest. Yes, we talked about that. Very expensive. Let's see. You got the Mississippi Con. What else? Oh, you got Stranger Con.
Mississippi Con.
Yes. So you got the New Jersey Convention and Expo Center in Edison, New Jersey, the Stranger Con. I'll probably look into that because it's right around the corner. So lots happening in the month of June.
But what I wanted to talk about was what's happening in the House of Craze in the month of June. Because I think we're nearing some kind of Kickstarter or something happening.
Yes.
One of the books. Tell us a little bit more about that, Sammy. What's going on in June?
Yo, Forbidden.
Join us this summer for the epic fantasy series Forbidden, coming to Kickstarter.
Into the world of Forbidden. So Forbidden Part 2 launching on Kickstarter. So I'm moving from Indiegogo to Kickstarter to launch issue 2. So if you were one of the backers of issue 1 and 0 and you loved it, the second follow-up edition will be on Kickstarter. A lot of great incentives. It's going to be fun-filled, and it's a full book. And it's not a preview, it's a full book. So get ready because it's popping off, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's and remember, this is a full book, which is what? How many pages now at this point?
I think this issue, I got to look now because this issue is more than 24, I believe.
All right. So, but all right. So that is just maybe, I'm going to say about a third of the size of the actual graphic novel that we're putting together for Forbidden. So Yeah, you're getting little bits and pieces of it, but it's coming. The whole thing will be coming, and the first one came out wonderful. It looks beautiful. The coloring was amazing, and you had the gold cover, the hollow foil covers that were beautiful. So it's coming again. It's coming around. It's coming around again.
We'll be coming around the mountain.
That's right. That's right. and we're gonna be announcing other things as far as the Crazies and what's going on with them. Thank you everybody who supported the Crazies for the third issue. Sure that's coming around to you guys soon. So indie news includes the stuff that we're doing. So there it is. We gave it to you. And yes. And issue 5, by now, I would think that you would have probably started already, your magic. Remember, guys, we are recording this at the beginning and at the end of March.
Back in the days.
March 31st. So we don't know actually what's going to happen. All we know is that by June, we have plans. And hopefully those plans go as planned.
Yes. So this is a byproduct of when there's a big demand and we have an influx of a lot of talent wanting to get on Catch the Craze.
Correct.
So we have to pre-record ahead of time. So we're locking all these guests and we're pre-recording them, but sometimes it's 2-3 months out because there's such a backlog of content. We make adjustments for those who have campaigns that are going on right now. But for the most part, this is why we have to pre-record.
That's right. And remember, supporting the indies is not just buying their product, but following them, going to see what interviews they're doing, finding out what's going to happen in their product in the future. So shows like this help those indies also promote themselves. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow us, comment, like, all of that is important because your support is important, not just to us, but to them when they come on the show. And that's part of it. It's all about spreading that love, and it's a cycle.
Yeah.
So, there it is.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. 100%. 100.
Keep it 100. Yes. So remember, what else is going on? I'm trying to think of what else we were doing. There's so much going on, and we're so far ahead. It's kind of hard to think of what else we're going to be doing. Yeah. But hopefully, in the month of June, we will be doing more shows. Going to be interacting with the people, and getting out there some more. So hopefully, that's going to be happening. And we also have other projects down the pipe, man. I'm sure that a lot of the stuff that we were working on in the past will be coming back out again. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the house, in the house of craze.
It's funny because when I was employed working full time and then doing this on I had 2 full-time jobs doing this, it seems like time moves slower. But since I've been working on this, it seems like the moment I walk into the studio, when I look up at the clock, it's 8 o'clock at night already. I'm like, where did the time go? Like, it's moving by so fast. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, today was an administratively heavy day. So it was all just making orders, doing the financials, and working on promos. And it was just administrative. And, by the time I looked up, I was like, wow, the day is gone. Crazy.
I know. It's time to record.
Yeah.
I know. It's insane.
Yeah,
it's
I'm like,
really
fuck,
insane.
I gotta stop what I'm doing. You should see the mess over there with all the sketch cards I'm doing for the commission cards. But so it's like I didn't even get to do one of them today. I got 16 more to go. So I'm like, it's just one of those things where it's like I don't understand how time's moving so fast.
It moves, kid. It moves. Speaking of the stuff that you were doing today, why don't we jump into the topic of the day today on Get Your Meds?
Get Your Medina Hayes.
It's time for your medicine.
Where will the money go after the campaign ends? That's what I'm talking about.
That is the question.
Where did it go?
Where did it go, dude? Like, we had all this money, and all of a sudden, it's gonzo, right?
Gone. It's funny, and that's the problem. So that's the problem when you do a campaign based on dollar for dollar. You know what I mean? So when I did the campaign, I did it based on the goal that I would need it to print everything out and whatever. So what with Indiegogo, it's proven me correct. It's actually dollar for dollar. The printing costs, the packaging, the shipping costs, all that stuff. And that's the good thing is that it didn't eat into me. I didn't go into the red, so it's just like a wash. So there was no extra to do, like to make me print extra books or whatever. Like I had to print what I needed. It's crazy.
So for anybody who's jumping into doing a campaign and says, you know what, I want to do an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter, how do I determine how much money I'm going to need for the campaign? And you have to basically think about what each book is going to cost you to print, right? How much is going to cost you to ship it? These things I think those are the biggest money grabs. And obviously, if you haven't paid your artist, or if you aren't an artist and you're a writer and you're paying some kind of team, if you are incorporating that into the budget, you have to take that into consideration. So there are a few things that you have to think about before you say, okay, I want this much money. Now, the other thing with that, though, is when you're doing a campaign on Kickstarter, especially, where there isn't a flexible goal, where it's just whatever, if you don't make your goal, you don't get your money. You really have to be mindful of how much advertising you're going to have to do beforehand to get people, make people aware that your campaign is even coming out. And that's going to cost some money. We've spoken to people who've paid thousands for stuff like that. We're in talks of having a marketing person that strictly deals with Kickstarters on the show. So we'll be talking to them a little bit about that in a future show. But all of that stuff is important, and you got to keep that in mind before you even say, okay, I'm going to ask for this much money.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, I was hoping that if I invested, say, $100 on ads, that I would get $1,000 in campaign pledges.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't work out that way, So like I invest $125 and we got $683 in campaign pledges from those ads. So you can see the metrics. You can see that you can correlate the two, and so I think that's where the risk is. The risk factor is are you going to reap the benefits of that campaign?
That's right.
Or are you going to take a loss? And you have to be prepared for that. And which is why one of the things I recognized was that some people were, frowned upon having to pay for the campaign, but also pay for shipping. So what it forces us to do is to think, all right, well, let's incorporate where we think the shipping is going to be into that campaign pledge. So that way at checkout, they're not adding the shipping. We already incorporated it into that pledge to avoid the person who might have put it in the cart and just said, forget this, I'm not paying for shipping, and then deleted it, right? Because that takes a big chunk of cost. Just the supplies to pack it and the supplies to ship it. So you have to incorporate all those things when you're thinking about it. Isn't just the printing costs. It's the pre-cost, it's the during cost, and it's the after cost. And the biggest thing you want to avoid is going into the red. So it's like I track it dollar for dollar to see exactly how the spend is going, so to avoid having to go there. I think we were fortunate with Kickstarter because it gave us a kitty to be able to not only print the books and the production, all that stuff, but also pay for the artist. Indiegogo, it allowed me to start paying for a colorist, but to maintain that, we have to figure out how to incorporate other funds. So that's the big thing. It's making sure that when you're doing this, you're realistic. Make sure you already priced out all of your supplies. Incorporate that into your goal. And then have the printing costs ahead of time. And because we haven't fallen into the 300, the 100 backers, 200 backers yet. But we want to make sure we keep that in mind when that day does come, that we're prepared for it and we're not going to take a hit. And I think that's the biggest thing. You don't want to take a hit. You're doing this because you love to do it. If it's dollar for dollar, it's a wash, great. if you raise a little more that you can use for production down the road, for extras, perfect. But don't bite off more than you can chew, and don't and then don't shoot your foot. Don't overshoot and then underdeliver. That's the other thing. You're a newbie, you're coming in the game. Don't put a $10,000 goal.
No, but see that, and that's a good thing you said that, because that may be what you need. Like when you do the math, right? When you do the math and you realize that, shoot, I haven't paid the artist. That's going to cost me this much money. The book is going to cost this much to print. That's going to cost me this much money. It's going to cost me this much to print. And then all of a sudden your math says, $10,000 is what I'm going to need. That's a hefty goal.
Yeah, I would
big money.
I would be more.
You may need that.
I would, if you had a badass story, and you had a badass artist, but your product wasn't ready, you just had samples, maybe promo pieces, and I would suggest as an indie, instead of trying to kill two birds with one stone, say, look, I'm running this campaign because I want to pay an artist to finish the book, and I want to launch a campaign when the book is ready to do that. So the money that I'm looking to raise is what's going to cost to pay the artist. If it's $500, whatever it is, raise that money. People will be more inclined, and just maybe throw in some stickers. Support me with this, whatever. You'll get a sticker or a sketch card or whatever.
See, I don't know, man. I don't know. If you're trying to raise $500,
I've seen that before. I've seen people do that. They just raise the money to pay the artist, and then they come back with the campaign when the book is ready.
I mean, I'll say this. I'm not. I'm not.
Joe's like, oh hell no.
No. But I'm looking at it from a consumer's point of view, right? I get it. Look, listen. I want to support and all that other stuff. Like, not me personally. I'm just saying, as the general public.
Maybe not Kickstarter. Maybe a GoFundMe.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think you do that on a Kickstarter.
You do it on a GoFundMe.
On a Kickstarter, you're expecting something. If I'm giving you this money, I'm expecting something. I'm not a sticker. What are you, crazy? No, I'm not. I want something. I want, you know what I mean? So I think that's it. And that's why, like you're saying, maybe you need to fund that some other way before you bring it into a Kickstarter. Because once you bring it into this arena, this big boy arena right here, if you look at some of the stuff that's out there on Kickstarter, you look at some of the artwork and some of the books that are.
I just seen someone who just launched it, and in 7 hours, the goal was like, I don't know, the goal was 3,000. They raised 7,000 in 7 hours.
But I think that part of that is, now we don't know if that person paid some kind of marketing or somebody to help them get the word out. Because I think that's the biggest thing. When you look at, and Kickstarter and even Indiegogo are very good at allowing you to put together a launch, what they call a launch page, which is a page where people can follow it and they're notified when your stuff goes live.
Right.
Now, in that page, if you do your homework and if you do your work and if you do everything you have to do, you should have about 50 people or so, on a good day, waiting for your stuff to launch. If you did that, you're on top. You're on top of the game. So that's what you want. And I think that if you have a goal of $10,000, you better have tons of people waiting for you to launch that thing in order for you to now get to where you have to get. So budgeting and finding out what you're going to need and where that money's going to come from, you have to know all of that ahead of time so that you know how much money you're going to have to ask for. Luckily for us, we kudos to Mr. Sam and his negotiating skills. He was able to get an artist for a very reasonable amount of money that allowed us to, not set our goals so high for how much money we were going to need.
Every day.
So that helped out a lot because issue 1 was funded and that money went right to the artist to pay him to work on not just issue 1, but issue 2. Right? And then issue 2 was done. When we launched issue 2, the money needed there was for printing and all of the other, stuff that we were offering. But guess what? We doubled that and we made 3 Gs and that helped to get to that. So if you go over, that's amazing. That's great. But you have to do a lot of work beforehand in order for you to get that number. So don't forget, you have to hustle before the campaign even starts.
Yep. I agree, homie. I agree.
So yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, I mean, I think that, we can go deeper into this and we can talk about all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna put the screen on you because I'm gonna kick my dog out the room. So keep it going as I get him out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. When we're talking about crowdfunding, okay, and just I'm gonna add to what I was saying. You want to make sure that you have pushed this product so far in advance that by the time you launch your campaign, you are now able to fund it within a reasonable amount of time, and you may be able to exceed what you were asking for. So if you were asking for 1,500, you were able to make that 3,000 because you had all of these people waiting in the wings for you to come out. And network is very important, man. I have a lot of people hit me up on social media, guys that are creative, that have Kickstarters, and like, hey, bud, is it okay if I send you a link to my Kickstarter? Would it be okay if you support it? Now, because of the world that we're in, okay, a lot of times the person you're hitting up probably has a Kickstarter themselves. So it's in your best interest to not just support them, but also say, hey, I have a Kickstarter. Would you mind if I send you my link? It's coming out this time ahead. You mind just following the launch page? Yeah, cool, no problem. And help each other out that way. But that's part of the whole networking thing, right? Yeah. Because now you're getting people, and the people that maybe know, I've definitely followed launch pages that are coming out, but I've also shared them on my page, on my Facebook, because I pledged and I'm like, yo, this is so nice. I want to share that. And so that's what you want. You want that constant just. Yeah,
I just got an email today from Gemma Young that we successfully charged your money for Temerity the Runaway. That was another one that I backed on Indiegogo. I backed 3 campaigns on Indiegogo and I think 5 on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
I'm not nowhere near George. George like back
I'm
the
a
world.
super backer. I got and that's probably I'm probably like the low end. With some people every day or all day they're doing this. I'm like at 31.
You're probably on my freaking distribution list. But but with that said,
be mindful of that.
We do have Law in the waiting room, so we're gonna run to commercial, and when we come back, we're going to bring Law in.
It's Monty Moore. I'm a 30-year comics veteran in comics, games, and movies, and you've been watching one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Catch the Craze.
You are watching Catch the Craze.
What am I listening to?
And you're listening to Catch the Craze.
Where are all the indies at?
A Catch the Craze podcast.
What are you watching?
I'm watching Catch the Craze.
What are you going to do?
Subscribe now to Catch the Craze, the #1 show online for independent.
Have you subscribed to?
If you are an independent, catch the craze. Making moves on your own, catch the craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the craze. Join the movement, catch the craze.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, baby? Law and Order.
What's going on? Yo, George, I haven't seen your face in so long. Kid. You be hiding. You be sending Sam out there to do your dirty work.
Oh man, yo, dude. Sometimes you gotta stay.
That's because George,
low key.
George is always on vacation. Every time you hit him up, he's somewhere.
George out there in the comment section, like, yo, what's up, fellas? Where you at, George? We want to see your face, man.
Hey, listen, I'm watching the show, man. I'm watching the show. And for everybody watching the show right now, welcome back. Here we have 1/3 of the trio. Yeah, this is it, baby. We're on. We're on.
We don't play.
Trio, 1/3 of the trio of Nerds of the Round. Our good friend Law is on the show. Dude, we had Sebastian on not too long ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the whole show and everything like that. So we want to get your, because we're going to get 3 different perspectives here. Like, there's always 3 sides to every story. I want to know how you guys.
I feel like that's a dirty setup.
So Sebastian did you dirty. Did you dirty.
I heard about the question. Yo. We're gonna jump into that later. You're wrong for that.
Oh man, there's so many questions. You're gonna have to remind us what it was, because Sam be doing some stuff too. Is that
all right? I'm off the rip. I'm gonna do it. So Seabass was like, "Yo," they asked me a question like, it's the 3 of us on a deserted island. You have to get rid of one. Who do you get rid of?" And he said, "My bad is gonna be you." And I was like, "Yo, no lie, we're both gonna pick each other because no one's picking Tone." Like, Without question, Tone is the person to stay. But when you ask Tone, like that's gonna be the one, because we were like, yo, Tone, who you picking? He's like, I'm not answering. I'm like,
oh man, see, Sebastian is that's a great question. I wish we could take credit for that. We never asked that. He's lying.
He's lying.
I can't wait to get back there.
Watch the show, bro. Listen, we record. It's March 31st. We're recording right now, but this won't air until June. His airs on May 28th. So just check out the show May 28th and check out the questions. Innocent questions.
Say less, fam.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for everybody who doesn't know who you are, Law, introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us who you are and how you got into this crazy business. Not exact, because we're gonna go into it, but just give us a little quick synopsis of who you are.
I'm Law. I am 1/3 of the Nerds of the Round, one part of the Medusa's Cascade podcast. I am a podcaster, content creator in general, YouTuber, photography, the whole shebang. And I jumped into this because of our very good friend Hutch, who found me at a con and was like, I like you, I want to work with you. Literally just bumped into him. I wasn't even supposed to go to that show. And then it was like a Valentine's Day show. My boy was like, yo, you know that girl I'm talking to? Yeah, I got a Valentine's, bro. And he's like, you can go by yourself. And I was like, wow, bro, what are we, like, that's what we're doing now? I can't be mad at it because his girlfriend's awesome and they're still together after however many years. But like, yeah.
That is so funny, dude. It's always good to hear like the stories about what happens in these situations. You ended up at that by yourself because your boy kind of just said, "Hey, I gotta see about a girl."
Into cons and cosplay all because like I was in like a little rough spot. Just got out of like a breakup and all this other stuff, and my boys were like, "Nah, we're gonna take you to cons, bro. Like, let's have fun, let's do our thing." So I went to cons all throughout like 2014, and started cosplaying, started getting into stuff. And it was around like the end, like New York Comic Con of 2014, where I was like, I don't know what this is, but I don't know what I would do if I were in this world like proper, but I want to be a part of it. I just put it out there to the world, and a few months later, I'm there talking to Hutch. Wow. And the rest is like kind of history. I actually this year, May 4th would be 6 years with the company.
Oh. Wow. Good for you, man. Good. So what were you doing before that? What were you doing before the whole convention thing? Like what was your thing?
I was a full-time, even up until like recently, I was a full-time swim instructor. So at that point in my life, I went back to school. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be, a swim coach and like have my own facility and all this other stuff. And I think at that point I was already like 7 years invested in, a bunch of different certifications and different programs, getting lots of experience. And I was like, yeah, I want to run a pool, I want to run a swim team, that kind of shebang. And life was like, I like that energy. But not happening, brother. Not happening.
Yo, Lord, that's crazy. Because before you came on, we had like a whole we were just BSing with Sam and. He was talking about how he loves to go to the beach, and this guy likes to swim in the ocean. And here you are talking about that's what you were gonna do. That is so crazy.
So everyone who knows me and loves me, they know that I'm a huge Batman fan, and they try to push but you're an Aquaman fan, aren't you? I'm like, no. I just tell people my dad is Poseidon.
There you go.
Wow, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I was 100% like. If you told 24, 25-year-old me that I would be doing this, I would laugh in your face and look at you like you had 16 heads.
Yeah, no doubt. Wow.
So what was the attraction to water, and what was the first time you realized that's what you wanted to do?
Oh, for swimming? Oof.
Yeah.
So we, me and my siblings were all, swimmers. Funny story, like my parents aren't swimmers apparently. Like we can get to point A, point B, but it's more important for you guys to learn how to swim than us. I didn't realize till I got way older that I was like, oh, y'all can't swim? Y'all
no, they can't swim.
So like dad can like get around, mom kind of just, does her thing, but they're not like doing laps. Like me and my two older sisters, are like swimmers. Damn. So they were on teams. I was like halfway kind of on like a community center kind of team for a little bit, but it wasn't until I was like maybe 19, I want to say. And I was in my first, neck of college. And I was like, I don't want to do this right now. Like, I want to take a break. Like, I want to figure out what I want to do with myself. And my mom was like, that's cool. You're going to get yourself a job. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I bet I'll get my lifeguard certification. And that's easy enough to do. So I got my lifeguard certification like 2007, started working from there. And like, I just jumped into it. I went from like the Saturday, Sunday guard, like the weekend guy, to getting like the full night shifts. Then my boss was like, yo, do you teach? And I was like, no. He was like, come on, you teach, right? And I was like, seriously? I don't teach. Like this, I'm not that guy. I worked with kids and I worked with, students before, but like not in a swimming capacity. I've always been like the swim teacher's assistant kind of person. Yeah. And then finally he was just like, nah, you can do it. And I started teaching and I was like, oh, this is cool. Got more and more, into it. Started working with other companies and getting more certifications. I became too qualified. Like that there's a very fine line between like putting all your eggs into one basket and then you're like, I've given my resume where they're like, yeah, we can't afford you. I'm like, what? I have all these qualifications. They're like, yeah, you're technically more certified than my boss.
Wow.
And I was like, what?
Yeah,
like, nah. What do you mean? So it was a weird reality check for me because essentially New York, as big as it is, the swimming scene is a very small scene. Everyone knows each other. You know someone who knows someone. So it's that kind of situation. And to try to get ahead, you have to wait for that guy who's been there for 15 years to get out of his spot. Right. Or you just got to start something yourself. But there's such a, finite amount of pools that you can teach at and all this, legal stuff. Yeah. So I was like, I'll just go about, teaching myself, and just doing my own thing. And that's how because I went all the way up to management at some point, and then I was like, management is not for me. Oof. I would rather deal with clients. I'd rather deal with my students, but like getting to a point where my higher up is like 15 people removed from me, I was like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Damn. So is it like is swimming in the ocean, obviously with the waves and everything, a lot different than swimming in just pool water? Obviously.
If you want a good representation of like swimming, like in like sort of like the ocean, open water. If you ever tried like those wave pools, in like any of those water parks, it's that. Yeah. So back at like years ago, like when I first got WSI certified to teach swimming, I went to Action Park or whatever, Mountain Creek. So I go over there with my buddies, and me and one of my boys were doing laps in the wave pool. Now, mind you, these waves are coming in stupid high. Yeah. And I'm over here like mad bored, just like, You know what? I'm just gonna do butterfly. And I just did butterfly. And the lifeguard's looking at us like, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, we're swim teachers. Like this is we sit in that chair. This is the first time we get to just kind of relax. You have no idea what it is to a swim instructor or just anyone in like that world to have their own swim time. It is amazing. Because I've never been able to go on vacation where there's water and someone not be able to be like, yo, I don't know how to swim. Can you teach me? And I'm like, I'm on vacation, bro. Like, I'll help, but like, I'm a nice guy, but that's so,
Damn. Oh man, that's funny. So you were swimming, and then how did you get, like, you've always been into comics? Is that always been a thing for you, or did you kind of like discover comics later on in life?
So I've always been into comic characters. So I've been a huge Batman fan, Ninja Turtles, Marvel, the whole shebang since I was a kid. But I started with the cartoon series. Right. So my uncle, who was a dope artist in his own right, used to draw like Ninja Turtles for me, Batman stuff for me, and all this dope art. And then when I would go see him, he would just pop on like Batman the anime series, and I'm like, yes, like I'm here for it. I didn't pick up my first like actual comic. Yeah. I want to say until like college, because my buddy Drew, same one who ditched me on Valentine's Day. but I he met me in college and we hit it off really well because we were both doing poetry at the time. And he goes, yo, like, you love Batman, but you've never read the comic? And I was like, nah, I don't know where to start. Like, I know a lot of the lore from like Friends and stuff and whatever the case is, but there were so many continuity things that I just kind of had to pick up the pieces myself. And he was like, here. And he dumped so many comics on me. Like, damn. So he was just like, here. Like, he is an encyclopedia of comics. He is the guy, if you went to Artist Alley at any point with suitcases full, like thousands of single issue comics, and he's going to the artist, the penciler, the this, the everyone who is involved to the most minute level, he is getting that signature.
Wow.
Like, kudos to, I couldn't do it, but kudos to him. I've helped him. Through him, I actually ended up meeting Capullo and Snyder. Because we just kept going up online for him. It was me, him, and my nephew, and we're just going up, and we're like, "It's you guys again." I'm like, "Yeah, we're helping our buddy get all these signatures done." So like, "Oh, okay." And then by then they were like super cool. Like, I bumped into them at other shows, and they remembered me.
That's awesome, cool. Dude. No, because I listen to, you guys do the podcast, the Nerds of the Round. Every Tuesday you go live and you talk about, whether it's you guys were doing,
Falcon Winter Soldier.
You do a Falcon, but you guys know about the, like, you guys are deep into that. You deep dive into that bad boy. So I was just wondering where you get all the info. But I guess it comes from like, yes, I have like a bunch of comics that I go to, but it's also like I have a bunch of friends in the know, and they'll just give me like that information, like just because, or I'll go research it myself. Like I love the channel Variant Comics or Variant News. I forget with Aries Quinones. Okay. And essentially he does like history of episodes. And in those episodes, I'll get my deep dive of like, oh, this is the story arc they appeared in, and this is what they did there, and their powers, abilities. I'm like, all right, cool. It gives me a good, backlog of like what to look for. Yeah, no, definitely.
You got your study sheets. That's what they are.
A little bit, yeah.
Interesting. That's probably why he voted you off the island. But so.
Oh, yo, Sam.
He said yes. I'm telling you, this guy's just quiet. He's not gonna reply to Sam and say much, but when he speaks, just darts.
Yo, just. He just held me in the back like Ace Ventura. Just. With my help, he could be the best.
Oh my God. So you swimming, and then you also do photography, right? So how'd you get into photography? What was that about?
All right. So I was doing swimming, and up until last year was my unofficial, I retired from swimming, hung up the swim trunks kind of thing. So technically I've been doing that for 13 years. But I want to say 2016, just about, I was working with the company. I was working with Imbion, and I was going to shows with Hutch. And Hutch was like, yo, here, take the camera, go take pictures. And I'm like, Hutch, what are you talking, like, me? And like the funnier part about that is, like, years ago, one of my old friends had a very similar setup to the setup that I now have when I do photography, almost down to like, the little, like the flash and all this other stuff. And he put it in my hand and he was like, here, try this. Nope. It was heavy. It was bulky. I was like, I'm going to break something. Fast forward. Now Hutch is like, here, take the camera. It's a very base, no flash, no grip, nothing. It was just like a very simple, here's the camera, here's the lens, put someone in the middle and frame your focus and you're good to go. I have all the, the settings done. And I was like, all right, cool. I did maybe like, I think C2E2 was like the first show that I did. And I was like, all right, this is pretty fun. This is cool. So I did C2, took a bunch of pictures, and I was like, yo, I kind of like this. He was like, yeah. I was like, yo, I think I might want my own camera. So he was like, okay. And Hutch always does that. He'll plant seeds. He'll just put stuff out there.
He's like Inception, bro. No, total Inception.
All the way. Like, he'll do stuff and he'll just wait and see if I like take to it. So photography and doing film, was one of those things that he was like, let's see if he takes to it. And I immediately jumped on it. And it came at a perfect time because I was getting out of cosplay and I just needed a creative outlet for the most part. And I was like, oh, this is dope. So I started, I got a small camera. He gave me my lens, and I started like just taking like street photography and, random event photos with my friends and family and stuff. And then later on, I was just like, oh, like I want to shoot video. Like I want to do, YouTube content and series and all this other stuff. And it just kind of spiraled from there.
Wow, yeah. And you were doing cosplay too before that then.
Mm-hmm,
so how long were you doing that?
About 2014 to 2016. And I went ham. So for 2 years I went like I think in 1 year I did like something like 16 to 30 costumes, but like variations on them. So I had like 3 different versions of Robin Hood. I had like the Disney Robin Hood. I had the like all out Robin Hood. I had like I had one where I made a sweater that said Loxley on the back, almost like a varsity sweater kind of situation.
Yeah.
So I've done that. I've done a bunch of different Batman. I've done Batman Beyond, Sith Beyond. Redesigned Batman from this dope artist Dometti from Italy. I've done a whole bunch of stuff. The Sith Beyond is actually one of our boys, Bulletproof Turtle Man from the studio.
Wow.
So I just like looked at some of the stuff and I was like, oh, that's dope. Like that's what grabbed me about a lot of Comic-Con, because the first time I went, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
Years later, when I finally had Drew to guide me and be like, this is what it's about, I was like, oh, okay. And immediately I gravitated towards like fan art and prints and just like seeing all the costumes. And I was like, oh, we could do that? Oh, that's fire. I'm with it. So after that, I met a lot of, dope friends and I just kind of just spiraled out of control with. I did like a Reading Rainbow cosplay, which was like the funniest.
Reading Rainbow, like the PBS show,
like the PBS. So even funnier about that is
he said even funnier.
the Reading Rainbow like Instagram and whoever runs their social media account knows who I am.
Really,
they've reposted my picture on their Instagram.
That's awesome.
What?
And then so they reposted that picture on their Instagram, and then later on, like a year later, it was like National Reading Day, and I was like, oh man, like you guys should all read from your favorite, Reading Rainbow. I put the picture. They're like, oh yeah, we love you. I was just like, wait, you guys know who I am? Like, why?
That's awesome, dude.
But it's a very funny costume because it was like an old morph suit that I had that was just a rainbow morph suit that I was going to use for like a mud run that never ended up happening because I was like, it's going to be way too hard to like try to do stuff in this. And I was like, what if we did like a Reading Rainbow? So my buddy Drew again was like, he was like, why don't you have the book, like a book and you're just reading? And I was like, it's too like on the nose.
Reading Rainbow.
So I put a huge name tag on my chest that said, hello, my name is Reading. And then just let it rock. So I'm walking. The first time I wore it was actually a 2-for-1. I went to my sister's Halloween party, wore it there, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's so genius!"
Right.
But then you go to a bar for Halloween, and you watch all your friends react because they're trying to do you can see the mental gymnastics that someone's trying to do, where they're looking at you going,
like, "Yo, what are you supposed to be like?"
And then just their eyes go wide. Oh, you're the Reading Rainbow!
And then they lose it.
100% because that's their childhood, man. Like,
no doubt. When you said that, I was like, "Oh shit, from PBS? Okay, Reading Rainbow. That's hysterical, bro." So you all right? So now you're fully into the whole convention circuit and doing all that stuff. When did you start doing like podcasts and stuff like that? How'd you get into that?
Around 2016, I think too. It was me, Tommy, and actually, before it was Danny and Tommy just doing We the Geek podcast, and I would just call in every time like I would get out for work, and I'd be like, all right, it's nice outside. I'll just walk around calling in on my headphones, and you just hear the burr, 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 like from the sounds of the city because I'm in Manhattan.
Yeah,
and I would just call in so often that eventually they were just like, by I think like the 8th episode, they're like, "Fuck it, you're just gonna be the guest. Like you're gonna be like our permanent like our other co-hosts and shit." So it's all right, dope. And like for so long, I didn't listen to podcasts because I wasn't sure what it was. Like it was one of those things where like I tell people, you don't like beer because you don't know what beer you like.
Right.
For podcasts, I feel like it's the same thing. I try to listen to like my cousin's podcast a while ago, or in that time frame, and he was like, "Oh, I'm doing a wrestling podcast." At the time, I wasn't big on wrestling anymore, so I was just like I'll listen to support, but I would kind of just zone out after like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But this, I was like, oh man, I could talk like nerd stuff and like, sure. Game of Thrones and this, or whatever what we were, ranting about at the time. And like I became the third co-host rather. In about 2016, we did that show for maybe like a year, and then we left the group that we were with doing it with, and just did it on our own and did Geek Ronin with me, him, Danny, and Guy from the Medusa Cascade podcast.
Gotcha. And then so I asked Sebastian how did he get involved in the Nerds of the Round. So what's your side of that same story? Like how did that happen?
And we have notes, so I'm watching.
All right. So how he got involved with Imbion, or how he got involved like
you.
No, like you. How did you get
Nerds of the Round?
How did you go into the Nerds of the Round?
I was his first guest on the Forever Dark episode that would never
so
be
you're
aired.
the one who had it buried.
Check. Yeah.
I had nothing to do with it.
He's like, you want me?
I wasn't on camera duty. They wanted me in front of the camera. That's their problem. It was me, Mike Mayhem, Seabass, and I think our buddy Steve was like behind the camera, whatever the case was. And we were talking, I think we were talking BVS, if I'm not mistaken. Which is another reason why I laugh, because I think that should just never air. Yeah, we did that episode, and then eventually he would just keep calling me back for like, hey, I have a guest spot for like, this topic or this, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm down. Like, I'm right here in Park. You're in Park Chest, I'm right here in Florida. I'm like, it's right there. Right. All right, we kept going back and forth. Then like, towards maybe like a year into it, when he like just broke away from Geeks Unlimited, and it's just him and Tone, the first few guests that they had were like with me. I kept I'm there all the time anyways, like
just kept showing up.
I was like, all right, bet. So then eventually I think I went from like the guest to like permanent featured guest kind of thing. And I was like, yo, just save me a spot on the couch, bro. Like, I'm going to be here all the time.
That's it.
And then I think the first episode we did was when we did Legends of Atara with the creators from that comic. And that's when they promoted me to official like co-host.
All right. It checks.
Double check your notes, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
So now you also do the Medusa's Cascade podcast, right? And then you do something called The Art of Storytelling.
Yes.
So when do those air? And tell us a little bit about those.
So the Medusa's Cascade podcast airs every Saturday. We drop a new episode of the main campaign. There's currently a bunch of different campaigns running, but this is the first main campaign that we're doing that's airing as we are talking about it now. Eventually, the other multiverse campaigns will join into the fray, if it were. And then on Thursdays, we have what's called Collateral Recap with our buddy. I almost said ASAP, but then I was like, that has no context for people who don't know, but Alex. Okay. So Alex from Wayward Raven does the hosting for us, and he like listens to the episode, talks to us like, yo, what decisions, like what in God's green earth are you doing? Like tapping the zombie and like all this other stuff. So he's, going back and asking us like player dynamics and choices, that kind of thing. So that airs Thursdays. That kind of fell into where Tommy was like, yo, I just want you guys like to play some D&D. Even if I have to be the DM, are you guys down to play some D&D with me? And I was like, everyone was like, yeah. got into it like super heavy. I actually just listened to the Get in Tune episode that he had, where he was saying I started recording them originally just so he can have like his own way to like look back and have feedback for himself and see where he can improve on. Yeah. And then eventually he asked us like, yo, do you guys think we should turn this into a podcast? Because he's our audio engineer. And we were like, oh shit, yeah, I guess, like, because we didn't realize that was a thing that could happen.
Yeah.
So that's Medusa's Cascade in a nutshell. Yeah. And then I did The Art of Storytelling around the same time I started Taos by Law, or The Art of Storytelling, for myself. So it's end of 2017 ballpark, I want to say. And I knew that I was doing photography. I knew that I was doing videos, and I knew that I was a writer, but I wanted to do something where I like was telling the stories, not just writing them down and, you know, trying to figure out where to put them. And then eventually I was like, what if I just did like my own podcast? It'll be weird if I'm just talking to myself, but I'll get over that really quickly. And then I want to say like I did a few episodes, maybe 2 or 3, before my best friend Dennis, my roommate at the time, was like, why don't you just do an episode with me? Like me and you talking shit and like saying how we met. So one of the series that I have within the podcast is called What's Your Story, where I have, you know, guests like family and friends who I've met over the course of my life come on, share their stories. And the elevator pitch is, my story is only as good as the people who help shape it. And, you know, they'll tell, you know, their amazing stories. We could talk for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. I think Hutch was almost like 2.5 ballpark in it. Yeah. But yeah, it kind of just like spiraled from there. I did 2 seasons with Seabass and Tone being the season finale of this last season that aired in November, even though I recorded it in March. Trust me, I do way too many projects, and I literally just put it in my folder, forgot about it for all of quarantine, and was like, I should drop those episodes, right? But I am dropping, as at the time of this airing, I would have already dropped like a few episodes, but the first episode comes out for season 3 this upcoming Sunday, the 4th of April.
Oh, okay. April 4th. So it'll be out by the time this airs also. That's awesome, Law. Dude, we need to have you back in the show to expand some more on your writing and all that other stuff. We're actually jumping into a live show in a few, but dude, thank you so much for coming on. Tell us where they can find you. Tell us about, I know you got a Twitch channel, you got the YouTube, you got the socials. So
you can literally find me everywhere that you want to just find me at Taos by Law, TAOS by Law. I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything. I'm starting a TikTok soon because TikTok is a thing.
Yeah.
If you want to find me, I'm not hard to find if you want to find me. Trust me.
I got you. Now, listen, dude, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted to get you guys all separate because I love what you guys are doing, and I feel like this is just more exposure for you guys. Keep up the great work on the show, bro. You guys are killing it. And
thank you.
Hey, I'm gonna catch you on Tuesday anyway. So
yes, love you, brother.
I love you too,
Sam,
my man.
I love you too. But like, you wrong. You know you're wrong. I don't have to say it. You know you're wrong.
Yeah, this is how we do in the block.
All right, my man. Thank you, brother. You be good. All right.
Take it easy, guys.
Too.
Later.
So that was Law.
Yes, that was Law.
Man, he's done everything. I mean,
yo, dude,
that's crazy.
Swimmer. I didn't even know, bro. That's what I like about these little one-on-ones.
Yes. So
30 minutes go by fast.
Fast. So that was another great episode of Catch the Craze. Again, if you like this episode, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. You have any questions for Law, you want to create your own costumes for cosplay, put the comments below. If you want to sponsor the show, it's as easy as hitting that link and picking a level that you want to sponsor. And with that said, have a blessed day. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
George the Dreamer Medina.
And we are out.
It's just easy. It does not.
Crazy.
Acquiesce. No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. I met
Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh,
He described me.
Listen, I'm the
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
To catch the
Craze.
You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze.
You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.